The first time Deputy Rusk gave the address, the repeater kept the road and lost the number. "Say again the address number," Mara said. His answer came apart against the mountain. 2, then a burst like paper being crushed, then maybe a 6. Behind him, somebody was crying in short, furious breaths. Not the injured driver. A second person. Mara held up one finger to Carmen and typed what she had. Single vehicle, private road, off 299 West, one patient awake, fuel leaking unknown. "Rusk, try the mobile if you copy." Nothing. The fire channel opened over him. An engine acknowledged from town. Carmen was already paging the volunteer company nearest the turnoff, her voice low and without hurry. On Mara's console, the location field remained red because the software wanted a number, even when the mountain had chosen not to provide one. Her phone moved beside the keyboard. "Mom." An image filled the notification. Graph paper, blue ink, one torn binder hole repaired with a white ring. Mara turned the phone face down. "Unit's going to pass the gate," Carmen said, hand over her mouthpiece. "Rusk say blue or green?" He didn't. "Everybody out there has a green gate, except the blue one." Rusk's mobile came back faint but whole enough. 286, Blue Cattle Gate, reflector on the left post. Mara entered the number. The red field cleared. Copy 286, Blue Gate, left reflector. Fire and medical en route. Confirm no one trapped. The crying behind him stopped. That was worse for half a second until another voice said, very close to his radio, "I'm right here, Dad." No entrapment. One adult with a bleeding arm, walking. Rusk had traffic stopped. The volunteer reached the gate, the engine found the volunteer, and the address became ordinary enough for the rest of the system to believe in it. Mara released the radio key. The pad of her middle finger had gone white where it rested against the plastic. "Government locates house," Carmen said. House surprised. "Wait for the report." "Government provisionally locates house." Carmen finished the medical notification and pushed a leave slip across the gap between consoles. July 14th, 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. In the reason field, she had written Reading. "That's not a reason," Mara said. "It is from here." "Court?" "My daughter's driving test. They moved it twice. If she misses this one, she says she'll walk forever, which would improve the roads but complicate my household." Mara checked the schedule. 2 people were already out. One had training. The county did not become larger because a 17-year-old needed an examiner. "I can take the first 4, Mara said. "You need somebody for 10 to 2. I need somebody for 6 to 2. You have somebody for 6 to 10. I see why they keep you." Mara signed the partial approval. Carmen took the paper back without thanking her, which was one reason they had remained friends through 15 years of rooms where gratitude got in the way of the next call. The fire channel settled into arrival reports. The driver would go by ambulance. No fire. Tow requested. Mara turned her phone over. The photograph showed a page from the old atlas, though, at first, the word "old" was the only part she could hold. The page itself was crowded and immediate. Pencil boundaries, blue arrows, 3 sets of coordinates, someone's block capitals warning, "Do not cut here." Though what could once have been cut was not visible in the frame. A coffee ring overlapped the lower right corner. Along one edge, in smaller handwriting, a list of spells or supplies had been crossed out one by one. Joe had sent 3 messages beneath it. Found this under the tax binders. Photographer is August 1st at 10. Room has to be empty. Do you want it or can it go? Mara enlarged the image until the graph paper squares became cream-colored tiles. She moved through it with one fingertip. A shoreline, a tunnel, a set of arrows that reversed direction after somebody discovered the first arrows were wrong. She knew the world the marks belonged to, and could not have followed the route. On the active call screen, Deputy Rusk reported gravel thrown across the private lane. Mara added the hazard to the incident and logged the time. She sent the tow information. Then she opened the message thread that had last been active in August 2021. The thread was named Monument. Check in. Julian had added Kit after Joe told him she was the one most likely to know whether Mara had eaten or slept. Nobody had renamed it when the warning lifted. The last messages were 5 years old. Mara. Warning lifted here. Tessa. Elena says she is staying put unless they tell her directly. Kit. I spoke to Mom. She has meds, bag, car above half. Julian. Noah? Noah. Working Dixie. I saw, thanks. Beneath that, a reaction from Julian 3 days later to a message no longer visible on Mara's current phone. Then nothing. Mara attached Joe's photograph. She did not compose a sentence. The image went by itself. For 6 minutes, nobody answered. The silence did not feel like silence because there were 2 open channels, a printer starting behind Carmen, and the tow operator asking whether the vehicle was accessible from the front. Mara answered what could be answered. Her phone lit. Julian? No. Then, Julian? No. Then, Julian. Tell me, that is the actual binder. His contact photograph was from a wedding or a party. Julian in a dark jacket with his cheek pressed to a man Mara knew was Dev and had never met. The photograph had been the same for years. Julian's hair was shorter now. Or longer. She could not remember which version was current. She typed "Mom found it" and watched the words wait above the send arrow. Her phone moved again, this time June. Is Grandma really selling or just looking? Mara dismissed the message without opening it. The preview vanished. She returned to Julian, sent "Mom found it," and felt the sequence as a physical error, like taking the wrong road after seeing the sign. Joe called before Mara could repair it. I'm at work, Mara said. I know where you are. The engine of Joe's car ticked faintly through the phone. She had called from inside it rather than on the sidewalk, which meant her knee hurt or the day was already too hot. You asked if I wanted it. I also gave you a date. August 1st. At 10. The realtor says the room photograph's small. It is small. She has a lens for that. Mara rubbed the rough edge of her back tooth with her tongue. Joe would not say the room had once been Mara's bedroom. For the last 20 years, it had been the computer room, then the back room, then storage, depending on what needed doing and who was being asked to do it. Did you sign in, Chico? Mara asked. Joe paused. This morning. At the adjacent console, Carmen stood and walked to the printer. She did not look at Mara. The leave slip remained beneath her keyboard, one approved block and one blank block. That's good, Mara said. It is. Kit see it? Kit measured it, the furniture, the parking space, and possibly the woman in the office. Asha likes the windows. Near Kit, Mara thought. The phrase had become fixed in everyone's messages. Mom found a place near Kit. Mom will have doctors near Kit. Mom won't be alone because Kit is near. Chico was not an embrace. It was almost 3 hours of road in good conditions, and an address Kit could reach without crossing a mountain. When are you moving? Lease starts the 15th. I have this place through closing, assuming somebody wants it. Somebody will. That wasn't comfort. Mara looked at the clock. The accident call had occupied 19 minutes. A person's blood could be stopped. Road cleared, unit released, report begun. All before a family conversation found its first usable fact. "What did the bank say?" she asked. "What banks say when you ask for money you already own?" "Mom, I can carry the new rent until this sells. I cannot carry the house, the insurance, the brush, and 3 people who have not told me what they're doing." 3 people meant Mara and June, then Joe herself or Caleb, depending on the arithmetic of blame. Mara did not ask. "I am working on it." "On what?" The console opened a tone. Carmen returned to her seat. Mara held up a finger, though Joe could not see it. "I have to go." "Do you want the binder?" "Yes." That answer was clean. "Then put your name on a box," Joe said. "I am not deciding whose childhood belongs to who." The tone resolved into a test from a mountain site, not a call. Mara listened to the automated voice repeat itself, then told Joe she would be home after shift. "June's at Caleb's tonight," Joe said. "I know." "She texted me about the sale." "I know." Those are different kinds of knowing. Mara ended the call before Joe could become correct in a third way. No call had opened. Carmen knew it and looked at her own screen. Mara pulled up the rental email she had minimized at 8:12. The manager had answered at 8:14, which meant the answer had already been written. The 2-bedroom in town was no longer available. "Thank you for your interest. Applications would be retained for 30 days. The listing had been online for one night. The rooms were paneled, the refrigerator older than June, the yard mostly gravel. Mara had disliked it until somebody else had it. She searched again. 12 results appeared for the county because the site included vacation cabins, rooms with a weekly rate, and properties more than an hour from the dispatch center. One house required the tenant to maintain the well and half a mile of private road. One did not accept children, a phrase the owner had placed between quiet and professional, as if childhood were a breed of livestock. One was furnished for 3 months to traveling professionals only. The only ordinary 2-bedroom showed photographs taken in winter and a deposit larger than Mara's checking balance. At Caleb's, June had a room painted the yellow she had chosen at 8. Caleb called it her room even when she was at Joe's more nights than not. Mara's room at Joe's was the front bedroom now, not the computer room. Her clothes occupied half the closet because Joe still stored winter coats in the other half. Mara paid utilities, bought groceries, cleared brush, and transferred an amount each month Joe called unnecessary while depositing it. None of those actions gave her a lease, and none made current housing cost simple on an application. Carmen said, "That the one?" "Gone." "The gravel palace?" "It had drainage." "The romance is over, then." Mara closed the listing. "There will be something." "Probably." Carmen did not make "probably" carry more than it could. Her own leave slip remained at the edge of her keyboard. She had already texted 2 people about the morning hours, and one had sent a laughing face that meant no. "You could go with your mom," Carmen said, "to Chico. That's where she is going. My job is here. June's dad is here. Those are facts. What else would they be?" Carmen lifted both hands. "I am respecting the facts." Carmen was not going anywhere, and had never once needed to say so. The halls were Nor Relmuk Wintu. The nation kept an office in town, and one of Carmen's cousins had spent 2 summers putting wood back into Weaver Creek for the fish, under a federal grant whose number Carmen declined to memorize. When Carmen said, "here," the word had a floor under it. Mara's here was newer construction. Mara moved her tongue away from the rough tooth. She knew what people in town did when they could not find a rental. They doubled up, put a trailer beside a relative's house, took a winter cabin until tourist season, drove farther, left. Each option belonged to an actual person before it became advice. Kit had a spare room in Chico and had not offered it. Mara had noticed the absence of an offer more often than she had imagined accepting one. She reopened the county map. The blue and red road lines came back cleanly. The system did not mark which houses contained somebody else's daughter, somebody else's savings, a well pump waiting to fail, or a room whose owner had signed a lease in another city that morning. Julian had sent 4 more messages. The first was a link to EverQuest Legends. The preview showed a forest cleaner and brighter than Mara remembered, with a title she did not tap to enlarge. Julian. Beta opened today. Julian. This cannot be coincidence, and yes, I understand coincidence. Julian. Do any of you still have a computer that is not issued by a government? Tessa's answer arrived 11 minutes later. Tessa. I still have bills. Does that count as the authentic experience? Julian reacted with a heart. Tessa removed the message, or perhaps the app only changed state. Mara watched the heart disappear. Noah had not read the thread. Kit had read it and said nothing. June's question remained unopened. Mara could see the first 6 words without touching it. She took June's goalkeeper glove from her bag. She had found it on the back seat that morning and promised to bring it home. Black pellets of field rubber were caught inside the fingers. When she shook the glove, they struck the desk in 3 soft taps, and 1 rolled beneath the console. You want 10 to 2 on the 14th? She asked Carmen. Carmen looked over. I want 6 to 2 and a daughter with a license. I can do 10 to 2. Find 6 to 10. You already said that. I'm saying I can definitely do it. Carmen studied her long enough to make refusal possible. Okay, she said. I'll find the first 4. Mara added the block to her schedule. It would be overtime, which the rental applications would count if it had occurred often enough, and the custody schedule would count immediately. Caleb could take June another morning. She had not asked. On her phone, Julian was typing. Stopping. Typing again. Mara opened June's message. Is Grandma really selling or just looking because Dad says those are different and I need to know which desk to move? Mara typed. She signed for the new place today. The house will be listed. We will talk tonight. She read it twice. She sent it. June answered with a thumbs up, an acknowledgement so procedural Mara almost laughed. No question about where they would live. No accusation. The accident units began releasing. Mara noted the traffic hazard cleared and entered the final time. Her screen returned to the county map. She opened Joe's photograph again. The atlas page expanded beneath the edge of the console map. At the lower right, a blue route reached the coffee ring and curved around it. 5 small arrows crowded the dry paper along the rim. On the other side, the line continued.